Hey, it's Felipe here. I'm gonna try not speak too loud. It's 2:50 a.m. So don't wanna wake my roommates. But this is gonna be like a slight beginning tutorial of new UIs. It can get kind of complicated later on, but I wanna just prepare this so it should go smoothly. Let me show you the basics. So for creating a UI element, a canvas, how it's called, you go in game object, UI, canvas. And now you can see this large, really large screen was created. And it's really large because it's screen space overlay. You can change to screen space camera, and you can select the camera, so main camera. You will notice that it's not recommended using main camera later, but it's fine. So if you look at this, it's still pretty large, and the reason is the plane distance is 100 ASIRs. This basically means how far the canvas is from the screen. If I place 0, the canvas is exactly on top of the camera, so you won't be able to see anything. So you need to have something greater than 0, like 1 for example. But we don't see anything. It's right in front of the camera, but there's nothing there. There's nothing there because we didn't add anything. So to add something, you can right click the canvas and add a UI button. There's multiple things that you can look up later, and some are really cool, but the most basic one is a button. So then you can see your button. It's right there. If for some reason you're not seeing, it might be because your canvas plane distance is too far away. And see how it projects itself in space. So you need to be aware of that. So let's keep it really close so we can see one. Another thing that's extremely important is to be careful when you're moving objects, UI elements, because you might be tempted to move the arrows like this, which is a bad practice because they stay like off the canvas. The best thing you can do is move here in the side, and then it will always stay in place in the canvas, even if the canvas is sideways and rotated. So try not moving with arrow keys. Third and last, and in my opinion the most important one, is you see this X here. This is like a pivot where the button is going to be referenced to, and it's used so the UI knows the distance that the button needs to be from that position. This is what it's saving. So for example, if I place my pivot right here and I change the perspective, he will keep its distance to this point. It doesn't matter what happens. And you notice how the button is cropped now? And you don't want that. You want that the buttons always stay in screen and on scale. And the way to fixing this is you move this out. You move the pivot to the corners. So now he's gonna move with the corners. Try keeping it in the closest corner you're in, or centralized. You're gonna have to check what's what's the placement more convenient, but it's still not perfect. If we change the screen size, for example, you notice how the button doesn't scale down, like the screen is larger or smaller, but the button is still the same size. So make sure you come here in the canvas and check mark scale with the screen size, and there you go. Now it's pretty tight, and it will match whatever you choose here. So match with width or height. So you can decide, but keep those options always on, because then you have freedom of screen resolution and your UI is always beating the screen, and it's not being cropped, chopped, or destroyed or invisible. Alright, so I'm gonna first show you some quick ways of doing UI without code. There's some things that you can do. So Ctrl D, I'll duplicate this button and I'll have two buttons, 1 and 2. Alright, so you can, if you run the game, you're gonna notice that they don't do anything. They even have the interaction, but they don't really do anything. So buttons have this window here on the inspector that it's called onClick, which is a pre-made function, pre-made script that lets you add events on click. So you click in this tiny plus when you want to add one, and the minus when you want to remove. So how does it work? You create this event and you have to fill basically these lines, and if you, let's say, drag, you can drag anything. You can drag anything here from your hierarchy in the game to here. So for example, if I can drag the canvas or itself, or even if I make a cube, I can drag that cube. Oh, I can drag the cube there. And when you do that, you can go through its components. So game object, transform, and the one that's usually really useful is game object set active. And this allows you to give one parameter, always just one. There's ways around it, but there's just one. So what I'm saying is, this object that I dragged in, I will make it active or visible. This is going to be true or false. So I'm going to say that when I click this button, it's going to be true. And when I click the other one, so create the event, drag the cube, game object, set active, this one's going to be false. Now, if we drag this to the screen, notice true, false, true, false. And then you have simple interactions with buttons, but no coding. This can be really good for making quick fixes and quick designs from UI. So you can use this strategy. I'm gonna give one more example for that. I'm just gonna leave that there. And let's say I want to turn lights on or other buttons or hide menus. That's how you do it. You hide the previous menu and add the new menu on top, and you change buttons, hiding elements. making UI is basically hiding stuff. So I'm actually gonna go now through a more complicated way of doing UI with some coding. But first, let me show you this. So you can use the same logic for anything. So let's say I want to grab this light. I can go to my button and change this spotlight. One, set active, true, and the second button, set active, set active, false, and when I click, on, off, as you can see, this light goes on and off. But what if I want to turn all on and off all the lights? I could come here and add another layer and add the second light and game object, set active, true, and again set it false. Now I have two of them. And finally, just for the sake of doing it, I'll do the last one. One. Okay. So with that, a button switch was made. On and off, on and off. But just think about in the long run, if the more lights you have, the more you have to do this manually, and it's really inconvenient. So even though this is really good and practical, you wanna code sometimes your own on-click function. So for that, you need to create a script. So I created one before, but I'm gonna create a new one. I'm actually gonna, just for sake of not getting things wrong, I'm gonna use my old one that it's commented. Create a new one, and I recommend you creating, let's ignore this, just so you see, it's gonna create it. So right click, create C# script, and you have to name something. Master like just master. So this is gonna be a script is gonna be added to an object in your scene that's just gonna hold all those codes that you have with all those functions, and you can access that. Any button that you do, you can access it. That's the main idea of it. So that's why master. It's called master. Then you go and drag that script in there. Let me just open the script. That's a default script you get. You get an empty start and an empty update. You're not using them. But quick note: the moment you created your script, the file name, it's gonna match the class, because it creates a class for every object. So if you rename the file, you need to rename the class inside, or it's gonna error out. Okay, so You can delete all this, you don't really need. I'm gonna use the other one just because I can cheat and look my comments down here. But yeah, you would have, let's say you would start like this, right? This is how you're gonna start. So I called my master script UI scripts, and you grab this master script and you need to add it to the scene. And to add to the scene, you need to drag this in master, and there it is. Now it's in the game, but it's not really doing anything because it doesn't have anything. So let's add something. So we don't need this. We want to write a function. So let's write a function. I'm gonna call it switch all lights. So you need to write public void. So public allows you to grab the function from anywhere. You get access to this script. So you need this if you wanna call this from outside the script. Void is just because of the return, you probably know. And are there gonna be a variable inside? Yes, I'm gonna get a game object. And the name of the game object is gonna be like parent. So the main idea is, so you know what I'm doing is, I created this script, right? And now if I go to a button of mine, I can come here and add this master object and search in his functions, and you're gonna see your script is right here. And look at this, switch all lights, and I can give him one variable, and the variable you're giving is the variable that you gave it here. Notice that you can give multiple variables, but that doesn't mean that you will be able to give multiple variables here. Observe that I can't, even though I created declarative variables there, UI script, it's no longer here because you can only give one variable. And that's why we're giving a game object, because that's a way around of getting multiple variables. And it's a little more complicated, but I really feel like I should present you this. So how is this gonna help me getting multiple variables? I want to get all the lights, not just one, and I want to do it all at once. So let's go back. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to the light, and notice how these are all child of this main controller, which is the lamp. So we're gonna add a script here, and this script we're gonna create a vector, how it's called in C, or a list, how it's called in C#. public list of game objects, and in this list we're gonna have lights. Okay, so we need to initialize every time we create a list. We need to initialize right away on Unity. So game objects, this is how we initialize new, and the type, which is basically this part here. So the moment you do this, you're gonna notice that if we go back to the object, you now have a variable here, and you can select the size. So 2, 3, 4, how many you want. So we have 3 lights. I'm gonna give it 3 variables. And now I'm gonna go and assign all these lights. You could make a script that goes through all your child and search for the name or tag, type, or whatever you wanted, but I think would be overkill. For now, let's just assign manually. So now we have this script in our parent object that has a reference to all these lights. So what does that mean? That means that we have one variable that holds 3 of them. And because of that, we can now send one variable, which is this object. And from there we can get all those 3 other variables. And that's why we're doing a game object here. So now, if I go to this button and I get, let me remove, now we can have a script, and sorry, let's drag in, you can drag in the master that holds the script of all the UIs, switch all lights. This script needs an object, which is the parent. And now we have given to our code all 3 variables. But it does nothing. This is what's gonna run and doesn't really do anything. So let's make it do stuff, right? So we need to check if the lights are on and off, and if they're on, we want to turn them off, and if they're off, we want to turn them on. So let's do this. So we have this object, and we want to check if this object done the component object lights. So we cannot ask and see if the object is on or off, because that would mean the object is on or off, visible or not visible. And he's visible, but it's not visible or visible are his child. So we need to make sure we're referencing the correct thing. So the best way to handle this is going back to the script and creating a flag void start and we want to create another variable which is public bold and just gonna call light on. So if the lights are on, that's true. If it's off, it's false. So what this function does is this is a default function from Unity and it runs on the beginning of the game. The first time this code is executed, he's gonna run. And we can set that if this is on, so if we mark that we want the lights to start on, we can say that for we can go through all the list of lights that we have and turn them all on. So for 0 x oh, it's count. So count gets the size of a list. So if it's smaller than the size of the list, x plus plus. So this we're just going through all the elements of this list. So now we're gonna get those elements and turn all of them on because that's what we want. So lights x, which is position, and the control that turns them on and off is this one, set active, then true or false. And this is gonna toggle this here, this upper box. So right now we're doing with this, just the light of all the lights. So, and we can make an else, which means if find why is it this? Else okay. It's giving me an error there. Oh, else is in the wrong place here. If else. Else goes after an if, not a for. So if the light is on, we do this. Otherwise, it means the light is off. So we go through all of them and turn them on. So with this, we can actually run the code, I'm pretty sure. And you notice that we have this checkbox here. And this checkbox exists because I did this line. And the public tells you that this checkbox is visible and accessible. I forgot to mention that. So if I check mark that, when you play the game, lights are on, and if I don't check, lights are off. Perfect. Now we have this flag that is telling us if the lights are on or off. So we know that this is on, all the lights are on, and if this is true, they're all on. If it's false, they're all off. So we just need to keep the consistency, and we can use that in our favor. So let's go back to our code here, because we want to press a button and turn them on and off. So if lights parent, in other words, if this code, this object that has this code, so we're inside this code, dot, dot, and then we search for lights on, lights parent, get component, object lights, lights on. Oh, I forgot to add this. This is really important. That's the kernel. So now that it's a function. So now lights on, and so basically what we're saying is if the lights are on, we want to turn them off. So we can actually copy this here, because we're just gonna flip them. So if they're on, we're gonna get, the thing is we need to reference all that again. So there is no lights in this script. The lights is in the other script. So you want to do all the things lights, all things lights. If I'm not wrong, you can create public object lights and call it something. It's a script. It's a, I don't remember. You can change. You can reduce that, but I'm just gonna use the full name. So if you check that again. So if the lights are on, you're gonna go through all the elements of the parent and check how many lights it has, the count, and you're gonna turn all of them off. And if they're all on, if they're all off, we're gonna turn them on. True. And if I'm not mistaken, we can now come here and add the script to one of those buttons. I need two buttons for this example. So I made a switch so it's on and off. It works with both. So there we go, master, select, switch, and we add the parent. Now when we run on it's not turning out. Let's see. If object lights on is true, false. If this is we're not resetting the flag, so this is important. So don't forget to. So we need to go back to that place, which is my parent get component object, and set Boolean lights on to false, because now all the lights are off because we turned them on. And for the other one, we turn them on. And now we should be able to do this. And we're not gonna full screen so we can visualize it also. So I can click in the main object and I can see here the box is off and the lights are off. I click, check box on, lights on off, on off, on off, on off. And with this I could, this code, it's basically a code to switch visibility to how many objects I want. I could even make more lamps right now, because why not? I could just make more lamps and more lights, and all I had to do is go to the parent and add 4 lights and add this new light right there, and if I run, it should make a difference. See, it works also. That's like a more advanced code for UIs, and I gave an example with lamps, but you can do that to trigger buttons and items and make crafting tables, or make it interact directly with like mouse sensibility or resolution. You can link anything and of the game the same way. It's just about you deciding what you want to do. This is a pretty long video. Let me see how long. 38 minutes. So yeah, if you actually watched till here, hope it was useful. And if you have any questions, just ask. I can give you other examples or show you personally, but yeah, good luck, and let's keep doing our stuff and learning some more. See you in class.